So I called back and turns out that old account from 2020 had an estimated outstanding balance of $22,000 in evaded taxes. Hey boss babes, welcome back to my channel. So as you can read by the title, yes, I had a really shitty situation about a month ago where I almost went to jail and got in trouble with the government over something that was kind of not really my fault. So let me just disclaim real quick that I am not a criminal. I don't do any kinds of unlawful practices, and I do not engage in any illegal activity. So while I am a person who takes accountability, and while I am somebody who believes in taking responsibility for your actions, I do not feel like this is 100% my fault, and I feel like it could have 100% been handled differently. So if you want to know what happened, and if you want to learn how to not make the same mistake for your business, then keep on watching this video. So just to kind of give you guys the backstory of what happened and how it led up to what it led up to is pretty much, just so you get the picture, I own an online boutique. So originally I had applied for a California seller's permit. I've never had an issue with them. It's always been a breeze. Notices were sent on time. I've always had a California seller's permit and never really had an issue with that. So because I live in Florida and I do my business activities in Florida, I figured it would make sense to get a Florida seller's permit. So I went ahead and applied for one in, I think, 2020 or 2021, and I never got anything back from them. So I never got any kind of confirmation. I never got any kind of business partner number, any account number, or anything like that. And if you've ever dealt with the FDR here in Florida, then you know how horrible they are and how impossible it is to reach them. So I was trying to get into my account because it's been already about a week and I haven't received any kind of updates on where my application was. So I was trying to check online and I was trying to log in, but it needed my username, which I couldn't remember, and I wasn't able to retrieve it unless I knew my business partner number, which they never sent to me. So I wasn't able to log in, and I wasn't able to reach them via cell phone to figure out what was going on with my account. So at this point I had tried to fax them, I had tried to email them. I've literally tried every form of possible communication before I gave up and just let it be. So about a year has passed and I decided that it was time to try to apply one more time and see if I could get a seller's permit. So I went ahead and did a second application. I did get a follow-up email saying that my application was in process and to check back within a few days to see the status. And then I got a phone call saying that I had a liability on my account. So I thought, interesting, well, I've never really used this Florida seller's permit and I've never really had one. So I called back and turns out that old account from 2020 or 2021 or whenever had an estimated outstanding balance of $22,000 in evaded taxes. So the way I found this out was I got a voicemail about them needing to clear up something on my account, and I got a letter that threatened to send me to jail for tax evasion over a seller's permit account that I couldn't even have access to. So I cannot even tell you guys how much anxiety I felt in this situation, and I'm not an anxious person, but there are certain things that will trigger it, and it is just the worst feeling in the world. So when I was reading that letter saying that I had $22,000 in estimated inventory that I wasn't paying and $7,000 in taxes that I owed, I immediately had to call them and just figure out what the hell was happening. So when I called back the bonding agent just to kind of understand what was going on, he was very unhelpful. You guys will understand kind of why I was a little bit angry after you hear how everything came down, but basically what he told me to do was to fax a letter to the bonding agent and let her know why I wasn't able to pay my taxes on time. So I did that. I faxed her a letter and I followed the instructions that he gave me, which was to fax that letter. So I waited 1 week, 2 weeks, no response, and then I get another letter threatening to send me to jail if I don't file my taxes within 10 days. And so I call back the bonding agent again and I ask him what is going on, like why am I getting these notices, why does it say that there's all this money that's due on my account when I have no taxes that I own. And then he wanted to go ahead and take me through and tell me to go to the office in person, which, by the way, I had no freaking clue that they had physical locations here in Tampa and just all around Florida. So if you're ever in a situation like mine, just go in person and save yourself the headache. And then I was able to find a phone number months later that I was able to reach and able to get something else figured out. So I'm going to put all that down below just in case you have any issues with the FDR and in case you're going through a situation like this and you are unable to reach them. So pretty much when I called the bonding agent, this is when he wanted to be nice and tell me, well, hey, you have to get the records of all the wholesale purchases you've made and all the sales you've made from this period of time to this period of time. Bring it into the office and we'll help you file your returns and pay any penalties that are due. And in my head, I was like, why didn't you tell me the first time? Like, why did you let it get so bad to the point where they were about to send a warrant out for my arrest for tax evasion, which is 20 years in prison? I would have been 42 years old, wasting my life away for something that was pretty much not my fault. And I just really don't understand why he didn't tell me in the first place to do that instead of faxing that stupid letter that didn't even help the situation. So I was just so irritated at the whole thing. Like, I don't know why he didn't tell me in the first place to just go to the office, and I don't know why he didn't guide me and was just giving me very vague answers on how to solve this problem. So pretty much this $22,000 of inventory that I had purchased was just some estimate that they created based off some formula that they use, and the $7,000 was also an estimate off some kind of tax formula based off the inventory amount. So pretty much what they were saying is I had to go into the office and pay $7,000 to clear up my seller's permit. So I was just really upset because I didn't even have my store open last year. I was not making any sales in 2021, so there was literally no taxes that I could have possibly owed money on. So I went in person and I brought all my wholesale orders. I brought everything that they had requested at the time to clear this up. And when I was in the office filling out the returns, the girl was literally laughing with me. All she saw from 2021 was that there was 0 sales the first quarter, 0 sales the second quarter, and 0 sales the third quarter, because I literally closed down my store and I knew I had no taxes to pay because I had relaunched my business this year. Therefore, I owed no taxes last year, and it was a complete misunderstanding that could have put me in jail. Thank God that $7,000 ended up only being $400 because of all the penalty fees, and most of the penalties was because I was missing the deadlines of filing taxes. One thing I learned is that in California, they have you report your sales amounts once a year, where in Florida, they have you report it quarterly. And apparently that's not even it. It can be quarterly, it can be yearly, it can be monthly, it can be all these other things depending on your business type. And apparently they're supposed to tell you this when you apply for your seller's permit. Well, let me tell you, after all that was cleared up, nobody ever told me. I still have no idea whether I'm quarterly or yearly, but the woman at the office told me I'm most likely quarterly. So let's just hope that this doesn't happen again and that I file my taxes on time. So what I learned from this was to keep all my business documentation organized. Now I have a binder just strictly dedicated to, you know, all my receipts, my business documents, and anything that is important and needs to be kept track of. So I recommend that you do that too, and I will actually be making a YouTube video very soon on how to organize your business documentation. But yeah, I just thought it was so ridiculous, and like I said, I am all about accountability, but I really don't feel like this situation was 100% my fault. I actually got another letter today that said that it was a final notice for some kind of $30 that I didn't pay, and that they were going to be sending it to a debt collector because I was avoiding their notices. Well, let me tell you something, I never got any letters. All I got was a credit to my account because they messed up my taxes and they knew that it wasn't my fault. So all I have to say to that is, Florida Department of Revenue, do better. So with that being said, that was pretty much the whole story time. I really hope that you don't ever have to go through that and that nobody else had to go through that experience like I did, because that was just one of the worst feelings that I have ever had as a business owner. And it just gave me so much anxiety and so much stress and just such a hard time for no reason. So I hope that you learned from my experience and that you kind of now have a heads up before you go to the Florida Department of Revenue, and that you just have a good understanding that they're kind of sleazy and will just kind of throw something at you out of nowhere. So that being said, boss babes, being a business owner definitely has its ups and downs and nobody talks about it, but I just wanted to share this story with you so you can see that it's not all butterflies and rainbows, and that we all have bad moments, we all have anxiety sometimes, and we all have depression sometimes over things that are out of our control during the course of the business. So I hope that you never have to experience that. I hope you learn from my mistake, and always double check with your seller's permit state when you have to report your taxes, and make sure that you have those analytics, you know how to get them, and that you have all of your documentation organized ahead of time. So with that being said, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love y'all so much, and this YouTube family just makes me feel so much better, even though it's small and growing. Again, I want to say thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!